Did you ever have a moment with him where you thought maybe he was unfit to run for
No.
president? No.
I thought he was a good president.
Why didn't you read the book?
I didn't want to, because he's not president anymore, and I think he did a good job. And some people are trying to use this as a way to blame him for the fact that Trump was reelected.
Isn't it interesting when you absolutely know that somebody is lying, so you can just relax and spot all the body language signals of the true intentions they are trying to conceal? Well, that's exactly what we are about to see when Bill Clinton was questioned about these books coming out exposing Biden's cognitive and physical decline, such as Original Sin by Jake Tapper. We already know that Clinton was going to lie about this. We already know how Bill Clinton lying looks like. But now we're going to analyze him saying that Biden was a good president, Biden was in good shape, and my favorite one, he's not reading any books on the topic because Biden is no longer the president. Yeah, it is that bad. Hello and welcome back, my body language buddies. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy, and remember to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss any of my body language analysis and tips. Let's get down to it. The first question that addresses Jake Tapper's book about Biden's cognitive decline is the best opportunity to spot Clinton's usual body language baseline.
This book that came out that talks about Joe Biden and the people around him seeing that he had cognitive and physical decline.
We noticed a couple things in here. The first one is that he was keeping eye contact, something that is going to change for the worse in the next clip. And the second one is that he was kind of vocalizing the journalist's words, like his mouth was moving on its own. This is something that happens to people of certain age, so we can just assume he does that all the time. But is the eye contact the most important part? Because when she asks if there was any moment in which he noticed that Biden was unfit to run for president again, this happened.
Did you ever have a moment with him where you thought maybe he was unfit to run for
No.
president? No.
I thought he was a good president.
First of all, he says no even before the question ends. He interrupts her, which could be a bit of anxiety about the topic. Right after saying no, he presses his lips and keeps looking away. Very different from the eye contact in the previous clip. But he also does something interesting. He says, I thought he was a good president. That was not the question. The question was if he saw any signs of Biden not being fit to run for president. Remember to spot when people are not answering the actual question. That is a red flag. Now, the next thing Clinton does is to address Biden's age. But I couldn't help but think that he was setting up a later comment about Trump.
The only concern I thought he had to deal with was, could anybody do that job until they were 86? And we'd had several long talks. I had never seen him and walked away thinking he can't do this anymore. He was always on top of his brief.
So notice how Clinton doesn't frame the concerns about Biden's age on himself, but says that he thought that Biden could have had those concerns. That's a way of adding one level of separation between himself and the concept of concerns. Oh, it wasn't me who had concerns. It might have been Biden who had concerns. He does a quick eyebrow flash as a mean to try to find empathy with this statement. And the 86-year-old remark, well, you know, Democrats are already using this to say that Trump is already too old to be president. But nothing can prepare you for the greatest lie of all. Clinton says, quite literally, that Biden was in good shape. And notice how she interrupts her again.
You never saw any cognitive
No.
decline.
So I didn't know anything about any of this, and I haven't read the book. I saw President Biden not very long ago, and I thought he was in good shape. But the book didn't register with me because I never saw him that way.
Yeah, he said no before she finished her question. So again, this signals a bit of anxiety. He denies knowing anything about any of this. He hasn't read the book, and he is not interested in the book because he never saw Biden in any other way than in good shape. Notice how he keeps looking away and keeps emphasizing over and over again that he was completely unaware of this. Also, the words, the book didn't register with me. It's an odd choice of words, as in, it didn't spark any curiosity? Seriously? But I don't think that he believes that himself. That single shoulder shrug at the end is too suspicious to just let it pass. That is insecurity, not being convinced of what you're saying. Which brings us to the obvious question. Why didn't you read the book? And he all of a sudden exposes himself with his answer. Pay attention to the captions in red.
Why didn't you read the book?
I didn't want to, because he's not president anymore, and I think he did a good job, and I think we are facing challenges today without precedent in our history.
Yeah, in the previous clip, he said that he didn't read the book about Biden's cognitive decline because he never saw Biden like that. Now, 5 seconds later, it's like the SpongeBob meme, he says that he didn't want to because Biden is not the president anymore. You notice that there is absolutely no intersection or connection between both statements, right? It's like he's coming up with them on the fly. It's a good thing that she asked the question a second time, by the way. But of course, he had to, in some way or another, make the topic about Trump. Oh, there's no time and energy to spend in the past. We have to deal with our current disaster, blah, blah, blah. In fact, I didn't really understand what he said in those last words about the current president and history. But the guy is talking pretty much like Biden himself, so there's not much we can do about it. But the last clip is when you realize that Clinton, at the last minute, decided to throw Biden under the bus in a passive-aggressive way. And pay attention to the pause he does in the following clip.
And some people are trying to use this as a way to blame him for the fact that Trump was reelected.
Yeah, that long pause, that thinking, that lip biting. He was looking for the right words to say, hey, you know what? People are blaming Biden for all this and blaming him for Trump's victory. Well, for one, I think they should blame Kamala for Trump's landslide victory. But what Clinton is really doing here is damage control for the Democrats, claiming that people are mad at Biden, which I don't think people are that mad at Biden. I think people are way more mad at the Democrat Party and the mainstream media for literally lying about Biden's condition. They should be mad about Jill Biden, who was instrumental into making the U.S. presidency a very long sequel to Weekend at Bernie's. And what about all those pardons and all that auto pen scandal, and if Pocahontas had access to the auto pen, and what about Hunter's pardon, and what about Anthony Fauci's pardon? That is such a cluster F that I can imagine when they really get into it and they get to the bottom of this is going to be real bad for everybody. And you see all the rats jumping ship already. They're trying to rewrite history. They're trying to retcon history. Oh yeah, we saw all the signs we know about, or I had no idea, like Clinton is doing right now, and claiming that people are mad at Biden. Well, you know, the Bidens are a criminal family, but who could be mad at the guy who doesn't really know who he is anymore? And there's also the mystery of if we know who is the real Biden. And I have a very good video that you should watch when we compare two actual official Bidens that, well, let's say they don't look anything like one another. Go watch it.